Filming a sermon series in the middle of Sin City. What could possibly go wrong? Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to continue this series with you, showing you behind the scenes look about how we created a sermon series for a pastor friend of mine, and we filmed all across the country. What were the different challenges and especially what we encountered in our next location, which was Las Vegas. Okay, so we're at the airport again for the second leg of shooting the sermon series. We're going to be going to Vegas first. It's going to be crazy. Same package as last time. One unfortunate thing was that the big family size suitcase did not get under 50 pounds, so I had to pay a little bit extra. So another thing to be aware of, 50-pound limit, so be wary of that. So we'll just keep continuing the journey and off we go. So if you remember from the first episode, we actually encountered ice storms which prevented us from going down to New Orleans after the inauguration in Washington, D.C. We were going to see if we could try to partner Vegas up with D.C. to kind of just make use of the trip, but we found it just wasn't going to work, or was going to just be way too complicated. So we did something that I always encourage you to do when you're approaching stuff like this, is to be flexible, and sometimes you got to make a strategic retreat and regroup and come up with a brand new plan. So that's actually what we did. We went home at the end of January, and then we had about a week and a half where we got our plan reconfigured. We readjusted the order of the cities, readjusted where we were staying and whatnot. So we decided our next location was going to be out at Las Vegas. Now, I've actually been to Las Vegas before, having attended the NRB convention, so I kind of roughly knew my way around, and I knew the general area we were going to be staying in. We got set up at a really nice hotel where all three of us were able to stay, so that was a nice luxury if you've ever been to Vegas. We basically started off, we actually found a parking structure that was right next to our hotel that we thought would be really awesome for our introduction to the series. So we actually ended up filming there, and our goal was to try to film as many episodes as we could in that first day. And we had different locations that we really wanted to hit up in Vegas. Probably one of the biggest ones was going to the massive LED dome that Vegas installed a few years ago, and has been a massive tourist attraction. There have been literally huge concerts and movies shown in this dome. On the exterior, this dome was amazing because you could see it from everywhere, and even in the middle of the day where the sun was beaming down, you could see this thing. And we knew we wanted to film as close to that dome as we possibly could, so we made time to go film at the dome. We also went out late at night one night to film at night, so you could see the lights of the city behind my friend, and we had to stay out really late. And the crazy thing about the desert, even in February where it was still cool, but not like where we were just like in hoodies and light jackets, it was still got pretty cool out there in Vegas, so you had to prep for that. An interesting thing was like the area that we were in, there was like no access to power, so we didn't have anything to plug our lights into, so it ended up being either me or my partner. One of us was holding up the light really high above our subject, while the other one was running camera, and we only could do one camera setups during that time, which is a great tip for if you're out in the field, is make sure you have some battery powered LED lights, because you never know when you're going to get into a spot where you're not going to have power. So it's always good to plan for that possibility, and that's what allowed us to light him really well. He still stood out really nicely, and we got some great shots, even though, you know, it was pitch black, and we just have this one key light, and then we have the really far off in the distance these backlights behind our subject matter, and that was the city of Las Vegas. And then, you know, sometimes we had like the dome really close to the dome, the light was so bright you had this great backlight from the dome itself. Some other interesting challenges about Vegas is one of the sermons we were talking about the subject matter of sex and marriage. And so we were challenging ourselves, like, you know, what kind of locations, you know, is Vegas often associated with about that. So we went to a wedding chapel. We had the interesting time of trying to find a strip club we could film in front of that had no signage on it. And that was interesting, trying to find something like that in Vegas that, you know, wouldn't show anything on camera that we'd have to blur out. And so we finally came across one that had much more of like a themed exterior, kind of like it was like Greek theming, and it just kind of looked like a palace on the outside. So we were able to kind of film from a distance from there, and that was interesting, you know, just getting set up across the street from that and filming that in the background. So, you know, you never know what challenges you're gonna have to think about, and this comes under, I would say, location scouting. You know, how do you find a location like this? Well, I mean, that's where you just gotta get creative. A really cool place that we did discover as we were looking into possible filming locations for Vegas was we discovered this place called the Boneyard. And what the Boneyard is it is a collection of past / retired neon signs from the Vegas Strip. So really old casinos or restaurants that have gone out of business that used to be right on the Strip. And so there was ones from like the Sahara. There was like one of the when the Super Bowl was in Vegas, they actually had that sign there. They had the full Hard Rock Cafe guitar sign there, which blew all of our minds. We made sure we got plenty of footage of that. And it's just literally this graveyard of neon Vegas signs that are still powered, and it's still like the old lighting technology. So we actually were able to rent that out for a day. We just literally filmed our entire intro there. We filmed little snippets for other parts there. We filmed our series trailer there, and it made for just a really cool backdrop to have our pastor walking, you know, with all these cool, decrepit, broken down signs in the background. It just gave it this extra texture. The crazy thing is just moving the gimbal that long. Like, that really worked my arms, my shoulders, my wrist, and even my partner too. Like, we both took turns, and it really took its toll after a while. And so that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be operating the gimbals. Think about your body support, your back, your shoulder support. That can really wear on you after a while. I found that out the hard way a few times. Now, one of the craziest ideas we had while we were out in Vegas is we wanted to try to film in one of the dry riverbeds, and we wanted to hopefully catch like a dawn golden hour happening there. So how do you do that? Well, if you want golden hour, which lasts, you know, about 20 to 30 minutes, right when the sun peaks up over the hills, is you got to get up really early. So we got up super early. So here it is, Wednesday. This is day 2 in Las Vegas. We got up at roughly around 4:30 because we are gonna go out and we are going to film in the desert. That's like 40 minutes out of Las Vegas. We're gonna go some Dry Creek riverbed. So this is another good tip. If you are going to be filming early in the morning, 1, plan your route. 2, charge everything immediately the night before, and make sure you get plenty of sleep. We're definitely a little all tired, all of us. So like good example, like me, I did not wake up shower this morning. I prioritized getting an extra 15-20 minutes. So weirdly, it is very cold here in the morning in Vegas. Like, we had a little bit of a cool wind coming through last night, so I figured it was gonna be cool this morning. So I'm actually wearing sweatshirt and a t-shirt right now just to be layered up. Got a camera rig here in my lap, and definitely ready to go. So here we go, on to the desert early morning to catch golden hour. We drive out to the riverbed, middle of nowhere. GPS started failing us at a certain point where we just kind of like blindly drove forward. And as soon as we started to see a little bit of light, a dust storm hits us. And that dust storm made it almost virtually impossible between all the dust, dirt, and then the wind, that we were just like, we can't film here. We'll get bad audio recording. The dust, I was really concerned that the dust was going to get all over the cameras. And so we were like, okay, well, let's bail on this idea. So we got up for no reason, unfortunately. But as we were driving out, actually got to this road where we're like, okay, we're a little bit further away now. It's not as bad. Can we get out? And so, well, what are we gonna do? Well, let's just film the closing questions of one of the sermons. So we very quickly wired up our subject and got the cameras all prepped inside the car because I wanted to leave them as little exposure time to the wind and the dust as possible. And of course, as soon as we get out, you can see the car is just covered with dust. Like, it looks like we drove through a mud bowl. It's crazy. And we just very quickly filmed this, and I'm just like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We don't need all this dust getting in the cameras. And luckily, not too much happened, and we were able to get back in the car. We still got some useful footage, and it actually made it into the final cut. But man, I was wiping down the gear for a while. So, you know, weather elements, they can be a nightmare when you're filming on location. And thank goodness for the techniques that we applied to filming the mics. The way we decided to do the microphone placement this time around, this is a good tip that I actually specifically did research on for this sermon series, is we ended up finding little stickies that you could actually put lav mics on the person's chest. So you literally have the subject lift their chest up, you put the adhesive on, usually right about here on the chest bone, if you can see that on the camera. You put the sticky on the chest bone, bare skin, and then you put the microphone on, and then we actually were able to buy little, microphones have like wind socks, and they actually make them for the size of a lav mic. So we then actually stick the lav mic, like sock, over the top of the lav mic, and then I actually used medical tape to tape the rest of the cable down alongside the body, so that way we didn't get the cable rustling around and stuff like that. It stayed where we put it. And so that was our setup. And what was really amazing is even in this dust bowl situation where we literally are getting hit by wind, and we just turned our subject away from the direction of the wind, and it really actually amazingly worked so well. His body blocked a lot of wind, the windsock over the lav mic cut out the rest, and just then, so I only had to put a little bit of filtration in post-production on the microphone. And that's a big thing for all of you media directors, videographers out there that are working in the church system, is if you're gonna be out on location, definitely be thinking about the elements. And, you know, are you gonna be around traffic? Are you an empty field? Is it gonna be a place that could possibly have a lot of wind? Where you put your microphone on your pastor is so crucial, because bad audio will just destroy whatever your subject matter is saying. And having now done 3 different trips like this in different elements, this is by far the best strategy I found for getting really clean audio that you can work with, is by recording it where it's placed between the chest bone. And then those wind socks were amazing because they just cut out so much crap. Like, we rarely had an incident throughout the entire editing process. There was only a few moments across the 9 messages that we filmed that I actually had to apply any sort of audio filter. So it was a really strong strategy. So I highly recommend that. Well, after we got done filming the message that we planned to film in Vegas, we packed up and we headed to a much colder climate. Our next stop was New York City. So I hope you got some interesting information out of this video, and I hope you'll come back for part 3 of the series where we're in the Big Apple itself. And until next time, keep the faith and keep on filming.